begin. Uh, if you have any questions, I suggest you just unmute and talk rather than write it, because I may not be able to read it, when I'm talking. So it's better to just talk, interrupt me and talk to me, okay? Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Hi everybody. Namaste. I felt like seeing all of you. That's why I'm here. I've been, ever since I got back from India, early March, I have not been feeling very well. So I went to the doctor. I had abdominal pain. I thought it was from acid reflux. And so I tried to fix it myself, but it didn't work. So I finally decided to go see a doctor. Ambu, can you mute your thing, please?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, so I went to see a doctor finally, and they did some X-ray and other things, and finally they diagnosed me with cancer. So I've been undergoing treatment for that. I've had 2 chemotherapies so far, and I just had the 3rd one a couple of days ago. And I felt a little better today, so I felt like seeing all of you and addressing you, talk to you about what it is that I'm experiencing and what I've been also studying. So I picked a topic which is appropriate for the situation that I'm finding myself in, and that is disease, distress, and death. So I thought I'll talk to you about that. If you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt me, talk to me, okay? And I'll try to answer the questions. So death is something that people don't normally talk about. It's considered taboo. Even in India, people never talk about death in the house. It's considered very inauspicious, because they're afraid that if they say the word that it might happen in the family, so it's never spoken about. But when we come to Vedanta, that's one of the first things that we talk about. The reason is, it is Advaita Vedanta. Advaita means one without a second. So we arrive at the one which has no second. Means there is only one. There's only one. But we feel that this world is variegated and multiple and all of that. That is our experience. In spite of that, there is an underlying reality which is one, and that alone is real. So when in order to arrive at that one, we need to examine this world which is variegated, right? And we look at it, we find pairs of opposites. That's what we find. So one such pair is birth and death. So if there is birth, that means there has to be death. So people try to analyze the cause of death. The real cause is birth. That is the cause of death, and that is common to everybody. So when there is, if somebody is born, then that journey is towards death. That's it, So we need to understand that one is just as important as the other. One is just as auspicious as the other. If you consider birth as an auspicious thing, then so is death. So that's how we need to understand it. So when I got this news, I didn't react much, because my teacher had trained me well enough. I had no idea how much of it had actually sunk in. until I received this news myself, you know. And so the doctor said, like, you have a year to live or whatever if you go through the treatment. He said it can't be cured because it's stage 4, but it can be treated. And if it's treated, then there's a 50% chance that I will live past a year. All of these things he told me, and I just looked at him and smiled, you know. And that's when I realized that it's not really that big of a deal, because it's there. It's hanging over our heads, right? This death thing. It's just that most of us don't know. It just happens upon us suddenly, and we pass away. But in cases like myself, we get an indication, we get a notification. Here it is, you know, staring in your face. So then, what difference does it make? The fact that I know, do I really know? And they're giving me these timelines and everything, but do I really know? I still don't know. So how has my situation changed? It really hasn't changed, right? So what we need to do is transcend time itself. So the present moment alone is, and in this present moment, everything is exactly the same as it was before. Before the news, after the news, no difference whatsoever. You see, so that's something that we need to think about and prepare ourselves for. So that it doesn't become a burden at some point, you know. So it's something that we need to think about. In fact, birth and death are so close together that inhalation is birth and exhalation is death. Every exhalation is a possible death, because prana goes out and then you never breathe again, right? Isn't that how the body falls? So the first step is to not identify with the body. I'm not the body. This idea should be clearly understood. It's not a belief. It is not a belief. It is an understanding that I'm not the body, because we use the word I all the time, right? We love to talk about ourselves, and we keep saying I and pointing at ourselves like this. But then when you analyze the meaning of the I in every sentence that we use it in, it doesn't always indicate the body. You're not referring to the body all the time. You see? So when I say I have a headache, or if I say I have a headache, then I'm referring to the body, right? This ache is in the body, but I'm experiencing it in the mind. Suppose I say I'm feeling sad today, then I'm not referring to the body anymore. I'm referring to the mind and an emotion that is experienced in the mind. Suppose I say I studied something today, then I'm referring to my intellect. It's not the body or even the mind. So we toggle between these different parts that just put together as this body mind complex, body mind intellect complex, you know. So the first thing it's the easiest to know is that I'm not the body. That's very easy to know, actually, because suppose you're engrossed in your work, you're completely engrossed, then you don't feel the body, right? You don't feel that you're in this body. Suppose you're sleeping, then do you feel the body? You don't feel the body in your deep sleep either. Even when you're dreaming, you feel a different body, not this one, right? It's a different dream body that goes through the dream experience. So there are 2 more people waiting. Let's let them in. Maria and Tom. So it's easy to let go of this body identification. When the body identification goes away, then death is not scary anymore, because death happens to the body. Even in religions, when religious belief people have, they hope to go to heaven. But they know that the body is not going to go. The body is going to be buried 6 feet under, right? They know that something other than the body is what is going to travel. So already there is, if you think about it a little bit, already the body identification is not there. Hoping to go to heaven is not the body that's hoping to go to heaven. It's something other than that, right? The spirit, they may call it. Okay, so body identification is very easy to drop. We just need to analyze it, that's all. It's like a clothing for this spirit that embodies it. And then when this passes on to another, it goes into another body, if you will. And it depends on what kind of thoughts that we may have entertained that determines what kind of body, what kind of life we get next time around. Does that make sense? So I'm going to pause and see if you have any questions at this point.
I have a question.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, I was there when the doctor shared with you. Actually, I was on the phone because they didn't allow me inside. So, when the doctor shared the news and said, you asked your expected survival, he said 50-50 in 1 year. And then he asked a question, how do you feel? And I just thought you gave an interesting response because he asked what you are doing for a living. You said you're a philosopher. And when he asked the question, how do you feel? You said, I have no desire to live and I have no desire for death either. Am I saying it that way?
Yeah.
I want you to explain that so I can understand that better. I was listening on the phone and the doctor was like, absolutely, nobody said anything like this to him, So he just said, oh, I agree. I'm sure if he was Indian, he would have nodded,
So yeah, at the time I was under a lot of pain because they did a procedure. It was an endoscopy procedure. It's called ERCP or something like that. They basically placed a couple of stents to drain the bile ducts. The bile ducts were getting really clogged up. And that's why I started seeing some of the symptoms. Until then, I had no symptoms whatsoever. So the bile was not draining properly. And also there was tumors in the pancreas, the liver, the gallbladder was completely clogged up, and then the bile ducts were starting to get clogged up. So I was in a lot of pain, and so they did an endoscopy procedure to place a couple of stents to clear up the bile ducts. When they did that, I developed a very rare condition. It only happens 5% of the cases, and I developed that. I got a pancreatitis from it. There's a severe abdominal pain and a lot of vomiting and nausea. And it went on for like 3.5 weeks. I couldn't eat anything solid and keep it down. So I was getting weaker and weaker. And then just within a week, they had set up for the procedure, another procedure where they would place a port on my chest so that they can infuse the chemotherapy and all the other drugs through that. So that procedure was going to be under anesthesia and all that. And then 2 days later, I was going to have my first chemotherapy. And at the time, I was not in any condition to go through another one of those procedures because I was really weak. I was losing a lot of weight. So that's when I've gone to see the doctor. So the doctor, one of the questions I asked him is, what if I don't do anything? Just don't treat, just leave it alone. What will happen? How long will this pain last? That was my question. My only goal was to be pain-free, some quality of life. That's all I was looking for. Because that is in the present moment. You're going through this pain, right? Pain is inevitable. Suffering, of course, is optional. So at the mind level, everything is calm, but at the body level, there's quite a lot of pain. So I asked the doctor, what if I just don't do anything? He said, yeah, you're the boss, you can leave it. And it'll probably progress in the body, you fall in about 3 months, he said. And then he said, but the other option is to go through the chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is palliative, and so you will start feeling better. If your body takes to it, you'll start feeling better, he said. So then I was suddenly I perked up, because I wanted to start getting rid of this pain. That is the reason I was considering my options, So then he said, I said, I'll go with your advice. I'll go through with the chemotherapy, but just not this week. Please push it to the next week. And the doctor agreed. He said, I cannot put you through chemotherapy when you're not eating anything. So you go home and you try to start eating something, and then we'll push it to next week. And at that point, Manoj made a comment that since I study philosophy and I also shared with some people, he said that she embraces death. That's what he said. So as a response to that, I said, it's not like that. It's transcending the opposites. So there is no desire to live, nor there is a desire to die. It is to transcend both opposites. And only then you can accept what is. So to be able to accept the situation that I find myself in, total acceptance. But if there is even a slight bit of resistance, then it adds to the psychological pain. There will be a tremendous psychological pain it will cause. So that's what we have to be careful about. So the fact that there's cancer, and that the fact that we need to go through this treatment and all of that, it is very real. And the fact that if I just resist it, it's not going to change anything, right? Is it going to change the situation if I resist this? It's not going to change anything. So complete acceptance. The acceptance means what? You take it as a blessing from Bhagavan. It's a blessing, just as anything else that you get from God. So I just take it as blessing. It's a test that I'm being put through, maybe, or all the karma maybe accumulated in the past. It's coming to fruition right now. Whatever it is, I accept. And so when it pains, I watch the pain, and I think about Yamadharma Raja. He's the one who gives out our karma phala. He's also the author of Kathopanishad, a beautiful Upanishad. So you think of that Bhagavan and say thank you, that kind of a mindset we need to develop. Why? Because it becomes easier on us. It becomes very easy to handle the situation, no matter what it is. And then you can be strong for yourself and your family, and all of you, my family, So it becomes possible, and you're able to smile. So that's what it really is. So it's about transcending the opposites. And this whole world is full of opposites. I began the talk with that. And we need to look at every pair and see them equally, to be able to see them equally. So if there is pleasure, there will be pain. Please see them equally. If it's hot, it will be cold. Try to see them both equally. Just the moment you see them as a pair of opposites, one cannot exist without the other, and we know this for sure, then we can transcend the opposites. Once you transcend, where you land is at that one, which is the ultimate truth, you see. So that's how it works. Are there any other questions?
I have a question, Jyoti.
Go ahead, Kurt.
So Susan and I were actually speaking about this, I think, a couple of weeks ago. When you're talking about the lack of a desire to live, the lack of a desire to die, and the transcendent of those opposites, is there anything in the scriptures that talk about what happens to the body when that becomes your reality. So in other words, when you enter a state, a mental state of I have no desires, is there anything about will disease come in to let you let you escape the body quicker, right? Does anything are there any scriptures, are there any talks about once you get to a certain point of really embodying that completely and fully, does the body just say, I don't need to be here anymore, I'm out, right? Or is there anything like that?
No. See, when you transcend all the opposites, you'll become enlightened, right? So if you become enlightened, you don't fall dead. The body doesn't fall dead. That doesn't happen. Actually, it's the opposite. It becomes very healthy. That's what happens. You'll be healthy, and even if there's disease in it, you'll be able to fight it easily. And I don't like to use the word fight, but overcome or see, just by not identifying with the body, you've already beat the disease, you see, just by not identifying with the body. So if you don't stop identifying, it'll fall off. That's not true. It doesn't say that anywhere in the scriptures. If that's the case, then we would have no enlightened being on the planet to teach us or guide us. You see, the moment they get enlightened, boom, the body falls. That doesn't happen. It depends. It depends on the karma. And the karma determines how long your life is going to last, right? So then that'll determine the lifespan. Okay. And so there is no fear of the body falling if you get enlightened and you transcend all the opposites. Does that answer your question? Okay. So the karma is actually acting as the fuel for this body. All the karmas that we have accumulated over many lifetimes, and also this lifetime, that acts as the fuel for this, because the karma manifests as good and bad experiences that we have in our life. So all the good experiences are coming from good karma, and all the bad experiences are coming from the bad karma. So the body will go through that. But if you have transcended all the opposites, what body goes through is not completely experienced by you. It's the mind level. There is no pain. There is calmness. And so while you're going through the pain, you're moaning, but you're relaxed. The body is at the same time relaxed, which is not the case at all, usually for regular people. And at any moment you watch the mind, then the pain reduces. So when you get to the mind level, the pain in the body reduces. And then it slowly subsides and goes away. So you're able to handle it better without falling apart. Otherwise, it's a very, very scary thing. Pain is extremely scary, and you feel like just giving up. But you derive the strength from within. The self is there, right? Ultimate self, which is within you. You derive the strength from that self, both at the mind level and at the body level. So physical and mental strength comes from that self. We just need to tap into it. We need to know how to tap into it, and slowly we practice, with the meditations, with yoga practice. We get to that point where the mind is completely under our control. Okay, and the fall of the body has nothing to do with being enlightened or not, being able to transcend opposites or not. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
I'm reminded of the story of Hanuman as he's fighting Ravana. And at some point in time, there was a point where all of his friends needed to come and say how strong and how powerful he was, and he needed to be reminded of that.
Yes.
So I'm curious, from your perspective, what can we do to help support you? And how do we continue to do that in a way where you feel that you're not alone and deeply loved, and that you have a strong force with you?
Oh my God, the fact that you're all here itself is fantastic. I love seeing all of you. That is support enough. And I know that you're all thinking about me. You drop me a text once in a while, and I see that and I understand. I feel so loved and supported. There is no question. There's absolutely no question. Thank you, Christina. Any other questions? Everybody's speechless today, huh? Nothing?
I'm Jyoti.
Yeah,
It's
hi.
Raquel.
Hi, Raquel. How are you?
It's so good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So this just reminds me of when my mother. I may have told you this story before, but my mother was Muslim, and when my mom, just before she died, but when she was in the hospital before she died, she just kept saying two things. It'll make me tear up. Sorry. Two things, and you just remind me of this moment. She would just and I love you, Allah, and I love you, like over and over. And those moments, like that's like the convergence of those opposites. And I always think that it was the most beautiful gift she ever gave my sister and me, was this like God and love moment. And I felt that like just in that moment, and then I just felt that with you, and that like beauty and the grace of that convergence is so like, it's the biggest gift.
I understand.
Another human that is here, and I just feel so much love and connection through that, and I have so much appreciation for you. I think you know that, but I just have so much appreciation for you and for being here today and sharing this with us. Like, thank you for allowing like us and me to have an experience that transcends this time.
Thank you for sharing that, Raquel.
I just want to add something to what Raquel said. So besides Jyoti, I've been getting a lot of texts from you all expressing love and blessings and support. And I'm not good at replying, but I do read every single text to Jyoti. And each time I read your text to her, she just starts to cry from love.
I know.
So she feels each of your love so much, And, it's not just joke. Everyone is going through challenges. We have someone here. I'm not going to mention names unless they want to, but they're going through a big heart procedure tomorrow. And they're still offering their blessings and love to us, So we all have challenges, and Vedanta is a lesson how to live with grace, despite the challenges from outside. We have the Coronasura, right? There's a whole new asura in Kali Yuga right now. And then what we're dealing with is Cancer Asura, yeah? But it's something so anytime you send me a text, I do read it out to Jyoti. So thank you all for doing that.
This is another pair of opposites, Deva and Asura. The demons and gods. So those are also a pair of opposites that we need to get over.
Hi, Jyoti, it's Lola.
Hi Lola, how are you?
I'm good. You can't recognize me because I have headphones on.
I do recognize you, Lola.
And I have my scarf
I know.
because I'm out walking the dogs.
Okay.
And I just want you to know I love you. And
I
I've been
know that.
saying prayers for you.
Thank
And
you.
I know that you're going to live longer than what the doctors are predicting. I know it. I feel it.
Okay.
So, you know, yeah, I really feel it deeply that, you know, you going through this, we're going to go through it with you. And I feel it's going to make me stronger just to live another day.
I know. Thank
Just
you
to
so
have
much
the
for that
courage
thought.
and the knowledge.
Yeah. Thank you for that knowledge. Thank you for
Yeah,
that
so,
thought. And you know, that reminds me.
I'm getting a little speechless here, so I don't want to get all upset, but I love you and I hold you and Manoj very deeply in my heart.
Thank you so much, Lola,
You're
for
welcome.
that thought. So that reminds me, this morning, I told Manoj that I'm feeling a little better and that I might want to, you know, talk to my friends, you know. So I was telling him, and then he asked me, what is the topic going to be? So I said, the death is going to be the topic. So death from the perspective of Vedanta. I told him that, and he wrote a text to Kurt. And then the next thing I know, I receive an email, a text from Swamini ji from Pennsylvania. She's at the Pennsylvania ashram, and she's been keeping in touch with me. So somebody's microphone is not. Ambo, is it yours? Yeah, okay. Anyway, so I received a text from her saying that she needed to talk to me because she talked to my teacher and that she had a message for me. So she had, this is Anita's mother, by the way, and she's at the Pennsylvania ashram where my teacher comes and teaches every fall. So we give her a call, and she says that she has an article that she actually transcribed from one of the lectures of my teacher, Swami Tattvavidananda ji, and she wanted to forward it to me. But she wanted my permission before she did that. That's why she wanted to talk to us. And I said, oh, I would love to receive that message, I said. And then the topic, she tells me, is death. I was like, this is such an amazing coincidence, you know. It was a huge coincidence. So the topic actually, it was the death, distress, and disease. That was the topic. And I read the article and I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I wanted to talk to everybody about today. So the coincidence was unbelievable, you know. It's as though the higher power was telling me it's okay to go for it. That you will derive the strength to talk to talk to your friends in the evening. So then I knew in my mind that I had to do it today. Although up until the time I got on, I wasn't feeling the very best. I was feeling a little nauseous and all of that, you know, and I wasn't sure if I'd be able to go through the whole hour with you, you know. So Manoj was assuring me that he'll help me out if I run out of gas. So I decided that. But then this was such an amazing coincidence. Just when I thought about it, Swamiji sends me this message from my teacher. So it was blessing from all over the place. You know, I really.
Do you mind that we blessed you with 3 Om Trayambakams? Because I know this group is a good chanting group.
Of course.
Is anybody down for that? You want to join me with 3 Om Trayambakams? For Jyoti? And of course Manoj?
I'm sure people will join in, yes.
Okay. Om Trayambakam yajamahe sugandham pushtivardanam Urvari karvavandanam Micho mukshiyamamritat Om Trayambakam yajamahe sugandham pushtivardanam Urvari karvavandanam Micho mukshiyamamritat Om
Thank you so much.
Blessings.
I was thinking that since I just thought of the middle name because Natalia, I thought maybe getting your mom's middle name for.
Who was talking? I'm sorry, I haven't located you. You may be on a different page. Who was talking?
Yeah. Sure.
Maybe you could mute all participants again.
Yeah, I muted all of them. Now, who's talking? Whoever wants to talk, please unmute your mic and talk to me, please. Okay.
I have the same mantra playing in the temple in the mantra box.
Mrityunjaya mantra?
Mahamrityunjaya mantra.
Excellent.
It's been playing for the last 2 weeks, and and by the way, there's been a stabilization of sorts. But the biggest killer is you cannot really plan anything. Every day is a new day. Literally, we have to embrace it. But for a month, it was really tough for Jyoti. No, all liquid foods and 5 hospital visits, and it came to a point where she was using the hospital as a second home. Bad joke.
I know.
Yeah. But then, this mantra has been working last couple of weeks. That's why, Jyoti is back to studying Vedanta and hopefully teaching more. So this is her dharma, life goes on.
Yeah, all I need is one good day. And I'll see you. Anything else? Any other?
I got a time, Elizabeth.
Okay. Go ahead.
I do have a question for you. I was just wondering, has anything changed in your personal practice on a day-to-day basis? Is there something else maybe that you're incorporating now or that you're focusing on?
Actually, I wasn't able to do my regular practice for a while because I was completely bedridden. This morning I restarted, but it's going to be the same thing. It is not going to change. It starts with a meditation, half an hour meditation, and then continued with yogasana. That's my practice. And then the rest of the day is study of Vedanta. So I I take a chapter of the Gita and I look at it, I listen to my teacher's lectures, and he goes over the text, he goes over the commentary of Sri Shankaracharya. So every word is explained. So I go through that. It's in Sanskrit. So that's my practice. That has been my practice for the last many years, 10 plus years. And I'm going to just continue that. That's all. I was able to start the Gita before I could start the meditation and the yoga. Yoga, since I have the acid reflux problem, I still have that. I can't do a lot of the bending and all that. But I try to do the ones that I can. I just started today, so it was a slow start. It's going to be a while before I regain my physical strength again, But I am able to eat some solid food and also keep it down. So that's a good start. And I think my weight has also stabilized. It's not coming down anymore. My doctor had told me to watch that, not to lose any more weight. That's something that he told me. So that those are all disappearing. And also the blood results, some of the blood tests came back and some of them are almost completely normal, especially after the stent procedure, So there are many positive things going on. And also the doctor feels that the chemotherapy is working on me because I'm able to tolerate it. That is the indicator. If I weren't able to tolerate it for those numbness in the numbing feeling, or a lot of vomiting, diarrhea, all of those things would tell the doctor that it is not working. But since I don't have any of those symptoms, he feels that it is probably working, and he thinks that he may put me through one more cycle, right? As initially he said 3 cycles, which is 2 weeks off, 1 week, 2 weeks on, 1 week off. So that is one cycle. So instead of 3, he may put me through one more cycle if he thinks it's working. So, and then they'll do a CAT scan to see if there's shrinkage of the tumor. That's where we are at. So,
I mean, just to clarify, it's not just, I think there'll be more cycles, but he wants to do the CAT scan after the 4th cycle, he mentioned that.
yeah, after that there may be other medicines or other kinds of treatments. We don't know that yet. When we come to it, we'll find out and we'll let you know. So yeah, so the practice is not going to be different. There's not going to be any prayer of any sort for, cure of cancer. All of those prayers are not going to be there in my thoughts, because whatever is given to me, I accept. If I don't deserve it, then I don't get it. And if I don't deserve it, then I don't ask for it. That's my motto. And if I deserve it, I'll get it. I don't have to ask for it also again, So there is no specific prayers, because we'll get ourselves in trouble. What if suppose I keep praying for a long life and then I end up getting it, but it is a miserable, painful life. What's the point, So we don't, I do not recommend any kind of specific, prayers, entertaining certain, because we won't be able to take care of all the fine prints. I should also be healthy, I should be this, I should be that. I mean, we may miss something or the other. There's no way we can cover all the fine prints, right? So what is dealt to us is going to come to us, and there's no way I can escape that. So it should be, my attitude should be to be brave and accept it. Be able to accept what is. That is the biggest gift that I can give myself, and whatever comes, like Manoj said, each day is a new day, whatever comes, you have no idea, and you just accept it. These are all flowers coming from Bhagavan. Whatever it is, no judgment whatsoever, because Bhagavan is never cruel. Bhagavan is not sitting there comfortably in heaven and handing us all these pain. It's not like that. It's not at all. It's what we have earned ourselves. Not an iota more, not an iota less. That's why all the idols are made of stone or brass, because it just doesn't budge. Murti doesn't budge. Bhagavan doesn't budge. No budging. You can do whatever you want. Ultimately, it's the karma that's going to pay off, you see. So that acceptance, I keep harping upon that same word, acceptance. This is most important. To accept whatever that comes your way without resistance. Actually, when I addressed you the first time, I had already gotten the news. I had just gotten it the previous day, actually. But it was too soon for me to share it with all of you. So that's why I did not share it. But I felt like seeing all of you and talking to you for a while, last time. So, and it's been a month and a half, I think, since then, right? So.
Yeah, it was, the last Zoom Satsang you did, you literally had the cancer diagnosis
the
earlier day.
Yeah.
But, I think we had come to terms with that. We had inkling of that.
Yes.
But then the following month of pain, that was hard on you.
That's why I couldn't talk to you. That's why. There was no shape to talk to any of you.
But then the first thing you said, I remember when you were in the hospital after the pancreatitis thing happened, you said, this is prarabdha, prarabdha karma.
Mm-hmm.
And it was remarkable how you took it, but it was, firefighters know what pancreatitis, man. Nobody gets it. It's pain. There is no cure. You have to shut down all the body organs, pancreas, lungs, for a few days and restart it. That's the only
That's
treatment.
so no water, no
And
food.
just water, right?
No water,
Or
no
IV.
food. Not even, yeah, just IV. That's why I was hospitalized for 3 days.
Yeah, so that was, in a way, I kind of fell apart at that time. Kurt knows that. I called him right after that. And I called the Chicago family, but you hung in there for me. So thank you for keeping us strong.
Actually, my family is here with me. My mother and my sister. Can you wave, Akka, Amma?
Just
Yeah.
unmute it.
Want to say something? She doesn't want to talk today. So they're also there, and I saw my sister-in-law also logged in, but I think she turned off her video or something. Yeah, she's just listening in. My sister-in-law, my
I have a
brother.
question.
Yes, go ahead.
Today it's me. I'm sitting on Amma's side.
Oh,
But just a quick question. Can you
Go ahead.
explain the 3 types of karma, like Sanchita Karma, Prarabdha Karma, and Agami Karma, the 3 different things that I remember a long time ago you taught me
I know.
in Tattva Bodha.
That's my nephew.
So as soon as I was
Okay.
Prarabdha Bodha, I just want to know one more time.
Sure,
what you mean by
I'll briefly explain it. So the karma is of 3 types: Sanchita Karma, Prarabdha Karma, and Agami Karma. So Sanchita Karma is the karma that we accumulated over many janmas, many lifetimes, and it's like this big bank account against us. Actually, there are 2 of them, 2 accounts, one for good karma and one for bad karma. So there are 2 portions in this big Sanchita bag. Sanchita itself is Sanchi is a bag. So it's a huge bag of all the karmas that you have accumulated. And all of this cannot fructify at the same time because it's very huge. So one portion of it matures and we take on a body and we are given a certain world, and then we manifest it, we come into being. So this body is taken. That small portion is called Prarabdha Karma. It's a small backpack of karmas. It has 50-50 of good and bad karmas in it. And this bag acts as the fuel for this body. So as long as there is karma left in this bag, this body will continue to live. Okay, and how does this karma how does this fuel exhaust? It's by experiences that we have. So a good experience will reduce, or it will exhaust a little bit of that punya karma, that good karma portion, or merits you can call it. And then the demerits is when you have a bad experience. So like right now, I am expending a lot of that bad karma. As I go through the pain, I'm expending a lot of the bad karma. So what I feel is, when I was studying Vedanta, I was intensely focused on studying it. I was mainly disease free. I didn't even catch a cold. I don't remember catching very many colds even. As though everything had been suspended so that I could continue with the study without any interruption. I would go to the ashram for 3 months. I wouldn't have any problem, any health problems. Even if there were some health problems, there wouldn't be any during that time. It was somehow, the whole universe was cooperating. I felt, that thinking back, I feel that it has been like that for me. And then, so that is expending all the demerits. So this is called the Prarabdha Karma, okay? And it also acts as the fuel for this particular body. And then comes Agami Karma. Agami Karma is the karma that accumulated by a jnani. So once the person gains the knowledge of the self, whatever karma that is done, that is called Agami Karma. Okay, so how do we get rid of this? Is it possible to get rid of all of these karmas? Because we don't want any karmas, because good karmas are like golden shackles, bad karmas are like iron shackles. They're shackles all the same, you know. So the idea should be to transcend all of that. How do we do that? We can get rid of the Sanchita Karma. How? Gain the knowledge of the self. Gain the true knowledge of the self. Sanchita is, that big bag just disappears. It's not hanging over your head anymore. That means no more births and deaths for us, for that person who gets enlightened. No more births and deaths after that. And then the Agami karma. Agami karma doesn't, because it's you have already gained the knowledge of the self. Agami karma is not going to touch you. Okay, and then Prarabdha karma. Will Prarabdha karma touch you? Prarabdha karma will stay with you because it's already in motion. This body, when the body came into this world, that at that time it is started to move. It's in motion now. So its momentum will end only with the last Prarabdha karma's exhaustion. So that will keep going. But then if you gain the knowledge of the self, Prarabdha will not affect you either. Like I was explaining earlier, you are your mind is clear and you're able to handle anything that is thrown at you. And so it doesn't really affect you. The Prarabdha doesn't affect you. You're living in the present moment. In the present moment, everything is fine. Whether there's pain or not, it is fine. So that's how you transcend all the three karmas and get rid of them. Okay, does that explain it? I mean, do you need further explanation?
No, absolutely. That was
actually, there are a couple of benefits to knowing this. So karma is a theory. Okay, it's not a theory. It's the law. Karma is the law. It's not a theory or it's not a speculation or anything. It's a law. You have to hold on to it as the law, because otherwise, when bad things happen to you, or good things happen to your enemies, you will not be able to fathom that. You will not be able to accept it, because why is bad things happening to me? You know, you'll question it. But if you understand the law of karma, you know that one cannot exist without the others. So suppose you only had good karmas, then they won't even be good karmas anymore, right? You won't recognize them. All you're having are good experiences, then you won't even call them a good experience. For instance, we have all been breathing from the moment that we were born, right? So breathing, do we consider it a good experience? It is happening every moment, but do you see that as a good experience? Why? Because you haven't seen the opposite of that. If you have been out of breath, suppose you were drowning and you've been out of breath for a moment or two, then you would know the value of your breath. You see? And you will know for the first breath that you get when you come out of the water. That's when you realize. Then you take it for granted. You see? So this is the example. This is the only example that I can think of where you don't consider. Breathing is the most important thing. That is what is keeping you alive. You've been breathing ever since you were born. But it is this breath, this current, present breath, which is keeping you alive. So how important it is? Isn't that the most important thing there is? So shouldn't breathing be considered a very beautiful experience, an amazing experience? Are we experiencing it like that? We don't even notice it. We don't even breathe properly. You see, we take shallow breaths. Why? Because we're under tension all the time. We're tense about this or that. So we need to think along those lines. Then this is how you derive that peace of mind, you know. This is exactly how you derive it. Analyze everything. Never just take anything at face value. Just analyze it and then get to the bottom of it. And then you will see how beautiful everything is. You know, Bhagavan's creation, it's amazing. With all the opposites in place. Because we don't recognize, we only experience this world by contrast. We cannot have just one, small bits and pieces for experiences. What we want to do is, we want to divide this world into conceptual bits and pieces, and then we want to hold on to some of the bits and throw away some of the other bits. It's just not possible. We can try. We can keep trying. You see, we can keep on trying. But we can never accomplish it. We can never get rid of just one half of the spectrum and then keep the other. We cannot do that. We have to embrace everything. By embracing everything, you transcend it, and that's where the peace lies. That's where it is. That's where the peace is, and it is yours here and now for you to access it and enjoy it uninterruptedly.
Jyoti, I have I have a question, a paradox from the Gita that I have yet to be able to transcend.
Okay.
And it's where Krishna is telling Arjuna in one chapter that, he has no choice. The war has already been fought, the cousins have been killed, it's already happened. So there's no use fighting it. But then later on, a few chapters later, he says something like, you need to get up and do something, come go.
Yes.
So, right, so there's this paradox that I'm still okay, whatever you say, but I really want to get your take on this, because there is this notion of differentiating the acceptance versus complete inaction.
Yes.
Also, that feels tangential to the story and your circumstance as well.
That's a very good question. So Bhagavad Gita is full of paradoxes like that. They're not contradictions. They may appear as if they are contradictions, but they're not. They're full of paradoxes. So in one place, Krishna says there's nothing to be done. Therefore, karma, you give up karma. And in another place, it says, therefore, get up and fight. Right? So that is action right there. So it looks as if Krishna contradicts himself, but it is not a contradiction. Where he says there is nothing to be done, it is in the Karma Yoga section of it. Okay, so what we do is we think that there are so many things that we have to do, that we have to go out there and we do, but there's nothing really to be done except our duty. Duty alone is there. Okay, so kamya karmas we give up, means desire-based actions need to be given up. That's the first thing that we need to give up. How do we do that? First, karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. So we understand that we have access to the karma, because karma is always in the present moment. Okay, the phala, the result of that action, is not in the present moment. It's always in the future, and future is not accessible to us. Future is never accessible to us. Suppose the phala comes our way. It happens in the present moment. It always happens in the present moment. So when you're able to access it, is already present. So what he's saying is to drop all the kamya karmas by dropping doership. I am the doer attitude is given up. If you give up that attitude, then I am the enjoyer will fall off. Okay, so enjoyer is given up, the phala is given up, which is in the future. So I am the enjoyer, it's gone. And then I am the doer will still be there, because I am performing this action, I am doing this action. That feeling will still be there, but eventually that will drop off too. Okay, so there is nothing to be done really except our duties. So we see our duty, whatever is our duty. Suppose I am trained as a physician, then it's my duty to go and treat my patients. That's my duty. I do that. Without the feeling that I am doing it. I always feel that it is Bhagavan who's working through me. You see, God is working through me, so I do it. So there's nothing to be done. But then there is one thing to be done, which is your duty. So that's why Arjuna is prompted, because at the moment what he had already called this war, and everybody is assembled, and then he wants to take the sannyas. This is cowardly nature. He cannot do that. His duty is to maintain dharma, and he knew that all the cousins and everyone on his cousin's side were on the dharmic side. They were unrighteous people, and they were embracing unrighteousness. And his duty was to stop that, because as a kshatriya, as a warrior, and trained, very well trained to do his job, it was his job to stop them at that point, and that was his duty, dharma, to perform. Therefore, Sri Krishna tells him, do your duty. He doesn't say go fight. Suppose Arjuna was a cook, then he would say go cook. He would say, you cannot give up your cooking, you need to go cook. But he happens to be a warrior, and he finds himself in the middle of the battlefield. Therefore, he says fight. He's not instigating him. These are all people try to psychoanalyze Sri Krishna and all the characters based on a simple story. The story is just a contextual. Story is just contextual. The message is what we need to focus on, and this is the message clearly. There is nothing to be done. You drop all actions except your duty. So whatever that you're trained in, and whatever you're supposed to do, if you have even the slightest bit of energy in you, go ahead and do it. That's what it is. That's the message, Does that make sense? So there's no contradiction. There's no contradiction. It's just a paradox. We need to understand it in the context where it is said. At that context, we had to understand it as what it is.
So I have a question.
Okay.
Because I like to cook. It's my duty. So I want to know if I can cook you something, Manoj, in safe distance liver, like kitchery. Like you tell me what you can eat, and I want to make you something. It's my duty.
Right now it's Manoj's duty, so I'll have you talk to him separately about
Okay, all right, I will send him a text.
Okay.
Yes.
Lola,
So
I
it's
know
a
you
duty,
well.
it's not, yeah, it's my duty.
Really funny. Can you also say the word karma?
Karma? Oh,
No.
karma. Karma. Yeah,
I love
karma.
the new Bostonian accent.
Yeah, well, I'm slipping and I said karma, so I got a little California in there, and you're right, karma.
I remember during the retreat, Jyoti had you say ka. Sounds like karma, like Kama Sutra.
Yeah.
I tried to make you pronounce
I'm glad we can have some sense of humor in this. Thank you. Okay, now I got it.
I understand, the Israelis, they have I know I'm generalizing, but there's people who visit Israel, they say people have a sense of humor, it's more like gallows humor. When you are under constant threat, sense of humor is really what keeps you going, you got to kind of, you can't be like put down on this, God has made us with a sense of humor. So, remember I was coughing all the time in January during a retreat. Now if I cough, they'll probably, if I go to India, they'll hit me with a big stick, it's called lathis. And hopefully the sticks are like 6 feet, and they probably disinfect the sticks now. But I actually went to an Indian doctor, myself checked up, and the room was so little, it was literally, the width of the room was 3 feet. And then the guy takes my blood, and when they use the cotton swab to wipe away the blood, he gives me the cotton swab. That means I have to take it and I have to dispose of it, So that was pretty funny. In the whole India, India is funny non-stop,
Okay, if there aren't any more questions.
So for some reason, everyone froze. Is Jyoti hearing me?
Yes, I'm able to hear. So, I think we went past the time. So if there aren't any more questions, I would like to conclude.
I have another proposal. Can we say happy birthday to Manoj? Because it was the birthday birthday yesterday.
Sure, hold on a second. Let me unmute everybody. Unmute all. Okay, go ahead.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Manolo. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Manoj.
Thank you.
You say happy birthday to Manoj? Say what's up? What?
To you all.
Thank you, everybody. Namaste. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.
Your next session.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Say bye. Bye.
Bye bye. Bye, everybody.
DOT?
Yes?
I have a question for you.
Okay, go
and
ahead.
I wanted everyone to go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just really, really curious
All right.
about the scrolls. Did you see this in the scrolls?
Good question. You know what? That thought just didn't occur to me at all. The scroll said 75 years or something. It might, much later. I don't know exactly how much. It didn't say 57. That much I know for sure.
Well, that's good.
But
So I think maybe, the doctors could be wrong, when they, I actually was just having a conversation with someone else today, and they had said that, her father was given like 6 months to live.
Mm-hmm.
This is 10 years later. And I'm like, only a fool gives you a date, only a fool gives you a date. So if the scrolls say 75, perhaps that's true,
I never thought about it. You know what? It just didn't occur to me. I never talked about it with Manoj until this moment. When you asked me, I'm like, whoa. Yeah, it really didn't occur to me.
Because astrology is all about the study of karma.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it gives you a timeline. But then Bhagavan has to give you the timeline, you see. Bhagavan means God alone can give you that timeline, and he won't give you advance notice. So,
Yeah.
people
Not
can
even
speculate.
the doctors.
Yeah, doctors, they're doing their best. They don't want to, give you too much hope and all that, but they are hoping with all their hearts to make the patient better. But,
I'm a bit of a rebel, I don't like authority figures, so.
I see. Yeah.
Susan, you're asking this to a person who doesn't give a shit about, the scroll or desire to live or desire to die. I know I talk about it.
Manoj
I don't
brought it
know
up a
when
couple times.
the scroll talked about Jyoti's exact day of death. But she stopped caring a long time ago. So it'll be interesting to slap this.
Yeah, but it's no time like now, so you have a long way to go.
And you might be accepting it, but we're saying no.
Yeah,
Yes.
We want you physically here. We
Yeah,
need you.
pretty much.
Okay, so you can't, no, I don't want to hear you don't care either way.
Yeah, I'll be
We
the
care.
selfish one now,
Yeah,
You have to stay
yes,
all the time, so.
absolutely.
Your husband needs you, your daughter needs you, your family
Yeah.
needs you, you gotta stay.
Yes, the world needs you, Jyoti.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we'll see.
Great
I
point.
see the doctors being incorrect because they're doctors, and we know that there's a bigger power than the doctors. So
Yeah, I feel the love. Thank you, guys.
yes. So I will text you, Manoj, and find out what I can what my duty's gonna be.
Okay.
All right. You guys take care. Kurt, you're rocking that beard. Don't you dare cut it. Okay. You can comb it up over your face. Okay.
He doesn't need a mask
I
then.
love it. I love it.
For us astrology students, would you mind sharing your birth information with us?
Me?
Yeah.
What do you need?
I know you don't care, but
What do
just
you
for us
need?
astrology students.
Yeah.
Sure, what do you
Like,
need?
here so we can do like case study,
Birth information means what exactly do you need? My birthday?
Date of birth, place of
Date of
birth,
birth.
and time of birth.
Okay, date of birth 5/22, 64.
522 what?
64?
What?
64, 1964.
64.
Okay. Place?
Place is
India.
in Kerala, India. Chelakkara.
I have
You
no
can just-
idea how to spell that.
Kerala, Kerala. That's the state I was born in.
What time?
Oh, time. That I don't know. I have to ask my mom. She'll look at my horoscope and tell me.
Oh, look! Your mom has your horoscope. That's great.
She does. Yeah.
Oh.
So, Manoj, can you please text me that information?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's muted.
Yeah, he is.
This
We
is
can't hear you.
I can text you, no problem.
Thank you.
Although you know my views about astrologies, I'm gonna hold back any strong feelings I have.
We know.
You can believe anything you want. We're not forcing anything upon anyone.
Okay.
He doesn't say anything, but I love how he says he's going to hold back his strong feelings as he's not holding back his strong feelings.
But by the way, I want to change the subject to they're actually making a national project to make masks for people like Kurt, because that regular mask will not fit.
Oh.
He's got one though.
We also need a mask to be able to drink out of it. So little slits. So yeah. Right?
Kurt, do you have your mask around you?
No, it's in the car because I have it going to the grocery store.
Right.
Yeah, I saw the picture. It sounds like a custom.
Oh, it's a custom job. Yeah, it took like all day.
Wow. Yeah, I wear it when I walk the dog in case I encounter somebody, but I don't wear it if nobody's around. Like right now, I'm in my front yard, but when I walk the neighborhood, I do not wear it unless there's another person on the street, so that I don't get yelled at. But it's, you know, it's the 5G. It's not no virus. Like, it's the 5G.
If you had a beard like this, Lola, if you just had my beard, you don't have to wear a mask. No one knows it's me.
Yeah, no,
They're just
that's
too
what I mean.
scared that I might have to go crazy and yell back.
Yes, exactly, exactly.